Hi, everybody. I'm Peter with BibleMoneyMatters.com, and today we're talking about the 2020 Economic Impact Payments, also known as the 2020 stimulus checks. What are they? Who's getting them? When do they start arriving? If we have time, we'll even touch on whether we expect to see a second stimulus check coming down the pipe. So stay tuned. Time of this video, it's the middle of April 2020. We're in the middle of a global coronavirus pandemic. The COVID-19 virus is very contagious, seems to be spreading everywhere very quickly within communities. And to help stop the spread, there have been global shutdowns on commerce, schools, even national borders. And our area here, all the schools have been shut down for several weeks now, and there's talk about them not reopening again this year. Restaurants, bars, shopping malls, all the local stores have been closed indefinitely unless they're essential, like grocery stores. There's constant reminders to wash your hands and put in place social distancing everywhere. And with all these businesses shutting down, people are being given reduced hours, they're being laid off or even furloughed. Personally, I'm one of them. I've been furloughed currently from my job, hoping that I can go back. But since the government is mandating that people stay home, unemployment has been exploding. Over 20 million people have applied for unemployment in the last 3-4 weeks here. Something had to be done. So the government has passed several coronavirus aid packages. Phase 1 coronavirus aid package was an $8 billion package of boosted funding for testing of the virus, money to help pay for vaccines, and funding for medical expenses related to the virus. Phase 2 was the Family's First Coronavirus Response Act, and that had $100 billion in funding for paid sick and family leave for those impacted by the illness, expanded unemployment assistance, and increased spending on health insurance and food aid. So that's all well and good, but I think everybody that's watching this video is probably here for the Phase 3 package, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act. It's the one that you're here for. It has the stimulus checks included in it. It was passed and signed into law by President Trump on March 27, 2020. So what's in this package? There's expanded unemployment aid, giving additional 13 weeks of unemployment insurance. Also gives a bump in maximum weekly benefit up to $600 for workers through 7/31/2020. There's billions in loans and grants for small businesses, state and local governments, and healthcare providers. At the time I'm doing this video, a lot of the small business loans that could turn into grants have already been, all that money has been exhausted already, and they're talking about doing another phase to increase the funding for that. Finally, the part that you guys are probably most interested in is the economic impact payments for taxpayers. It's also known as the stimulus checks. So, who are getting the economic impact payments? How much are they? What do you need to do to be eligible for those? Basically, anyone who has an adjusted gross income under a certain level based on the AGI on their 2018 or their 2019 taxes will receive a payment. If you filed taxes as a single taxpayer and your income is less than $75,000, you will get the full $1,200 refundable tax credit. If you made more than $75,000 but less than $99,000, you would get a reduced amount. The check amount would go down by $5 for every $100 that you're over the income limit. Once you reach $99,000 as a single taxpayer, the payment phases out completely and you won't be getting it. Moving along, if you're married filing jointly when you file your taxes and your income is less than $150,000, you would get the full $2,400 tax credit as a couple. Payment again is reduced by $5 for every $100 you are over the limit until you reach an AGI of $198,000. Finally, if you filed taxes as a head of household and your income is less than $112,500, you would get the full $1,200 tax credit. Once again, the payment is reduced by $5 for every $100 that you're over the limit until you reach an AGI of $136,500 as a head of household. All three of those, so if you're single, married, filing jointly, or head of household, you can also get a tax credit if you have a child in the household of $500. Now, in order to have an eligible child, the child needs to meet the same criteria as the child tax credit, which means they need to be under 17 years old by the end of the tax year. So they need to be 16 or under. So if you have a 14-year-old and they're 14 at the end of the year, you would get a $500 tax credit. If you have a 17-year-old and they're 17 at the end of the year, then they would not get the $500 tax credit. If you have a 16-year-old but they turn 17 at the very end of the year, once again, you would not get the tax credit. So let's look at a couple of example situations. Example number one. This one is like my family here. A couple files taxes, married filing jointly, has two children under the age of 10. They make $140,000 in income. Since they're under $150,000 AGI limit, they would get the $2,400 full credit for a couple. And then they would also get $500 for each child. So that would give them a grand total of $3,400 in refundable tax credits. Let's look at another example that's a little bit different. Example number two. Let's say you're an individual, files taxes as a single person, has no children, and you make $92,000 in income. They would get a reduced stimulus payment at that income since their income is $17,000 over the $75,000 threshold. But it's still under the $99,000 cutoff. So the individual would then receive a total of $350. So that's basically $1,200 minus $850 in reductions based on what I said before, the $5 for every $100 over the limit. So it's relatively simple to figure out how much of a tax credit that you're getting. Just figure out if you're single, if you're a couple, and then figure in how many eligible children you have. Add it all up, and that's how much you're going to be getting for the stimulus check or the direct deposit payment. If you don't typically file a tax return, you can still get the credit as well. You just need to make sure you fill out a form for non-filers on the IRS site. They've launched a portal where you can go enter all of your information, including your direct deposit information, and then you will then be able to receive the refundable tax credit. We'll link to it in the description below or in the post. So that would mean certain people, like people who get Social Security retirement benefits, people who get disability insurance benefits, railroad retirement or survivor benefits. Basically, if you don't need to file and the government already has your information on file, they will send out your stimulus payment and you don't have to file taxes. There was some confusion about that originally, and they were saying that you might have to file a simple tax form. But again, if you have Social Security retirement benefits, disability insurance benefits, or railroad retirement survivor benefits, you do not need to file anything. But again, if you do need to typically file tax return, you just didn't because of a low income or something along those lines, you'll need to fill out the non-filers form on the IRS portal. So another question, is this stimulus check a one-time payment? As it is currently, the CARES Act says that yes, this isn't a monthly payment or anything like that. This is a one-time payment that you're going to get. There is, however, the possibility that they could pass another act to give an additional stimulus payment, a second round of stimulus payments. Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, President Trump have all indicated at one point or another that they might be open to an additional stimulus payment for taxpayers. Details of all that are still way up in the air. There have already been a couple of proposals that have been floated and then voted down. So at this point, if that does happen, a second stimulus check payment, that wouldn't be happening until probably May or June, somewhere along those lines. They've indicated that they want to give it some time to work and that they wouldn't be passing anything additional until they see how the first payment goes. Another question, what should I do if the IRS doesn't have my direct deposit information? If you go to the IRS coronavirus portal, which we'll link it down below as well, you can go to the Filers Get Your Payment portal on the IRS site, enter your information on that, and you'll need your account routing number and your account number. And you may have to try a few times to enter your information on that portal because the portal is getting slammed right now. People are getting errors. It's coming back with error messages. But eventually, most people are able to get through and enter their direct deposit information if the government doesn't have that. When can you expect these stimulus payments to start coming through? Today is April 16th, and payments are already coming through to people who signed up for the direct deposit. They did say it was going to be starting to arrive on April 15th, and quite a few people started to see those deposits hitting their accounts in a pending status as of April 13th. But as of today, April 16th, a lot of the direct deposit payments are already going out for these stimulus payments. Some people, if they did not file taxes in 2018 or 2019, or if they did not get a refund in those years, their direct deposit information may not be on file with the IRS, and they will then be getting a stimulus check in the mail instead of a direct deposit. So for those people, they're going to have to wait longer. Checks are going to be going out over the next few weeks here. And I believe it's going to be starting with the lower income folks first and then working its way up to people who earn more income. So with all that said, stimulus payments, they're on the way. They're going out right now. $1,200 for individuals, $2,400 for couples, $500 for additional children, and the amounts get reduced once you've reached a certain income level. So go on to our page to see all the numbers as far as what those cutoffs are and how much you would get with the stimulus payment. Stay tuned as we continue to research this and figure out if there is going to be a second stimulus payment. All signs are pointing to now that there probably will be at some point. How much that's going to be and what form it will take, what the income cutoffs will be. None of that is known at this point because there is not a legislation or anything that has passed. So stay tuned on that. We'll post another video for that and probably do another post on the site on BibleMoneyMatters.com. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and hopefully your income payments are coming through already. And if not, hopefully it'll be coming through soon. Stay tuned for more updates.